Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is basically kind of a revisited video of what I did in my hospital bag. I wanted to go through what I actually used. Any of you who've been following my journey and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, know that this would have been my first child, my first time giving birth, labour, all that scenario. So I didn't really know what to pack. I watched a lot of videos, spoke to a lot of people, other mums, and they kind of told me what they thought was like the biggest things, the biggest necessities that I needed to pack. So with advice from them and advice from the internet, I went and I packed my my bag. I made a video and I thought it would be fun to kind of go through if you're expecting a baby and you haven't, it's your first for example, and you don't really know what to pack, then this might be able to help. In the video I spoke about how it was my first time. I live in Spain. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below, but I've got my laptop here and I'm going to watch it through with you, and then I'm going to kind of comment on what I used and what I didn't. First thing I mentioned was a nightgown, and this actually really came in handy. I gave birth in February. I wrote my whole labour story on my blog, so I'll link that down below for you too if you want to have a read. But basically it was February and it was cold, although at the hospital it's kept at a normal temperature anyway, but the hospital gowns they provide post labour and birth, in the hospital I gave birth at, they were kind of like a white gown with like a deep kind of v-neck. I think there may have been a button, I'm not entirely sure, maybe it was just like a v-neck, I can't really remember. And although it was nice, it was breezy, it was loose, nice material, kind of like a cottony material, I found it, because I have smaller breasts, even though they're bigger now because I'm breastfeeding, I find I had to try drag it all the way to the side to try get my boob out, whereas if you have a big boob, I can imagine you can kind of just out and around. I don't have big boobs, I wouldn't know. So the nightgown actually came in handy. It was much easier just to be able to unbutton it and have half of it open so I can feed whenever. It was great. I know some places, some hospitals have like kind of tie ones at the side. We did have different gowns for delivery, but once you've delivered your baby, they gave you a gown. They were like, here, you can change into it and then we'll wheel you off to your room. Oh, what a great experience. I love talking about it. It makes me all like happy. So I would recommend bringing a nightgown. It's summer now where we are, so if you didn't have, like this is a long sleeve kind of button down gown, if you are planning on having a baby soon, then I would recommend bringing like a strap, kind of like a really long stretchy kind of flowy dress that you can kind of take the strap off and get your boob out easily. Or even a short sleeved one maybe, button down. Yeah, no, it was great. I really definitely be packing one of those for next. The next thing I mentioned was like maternity bras to be able to breastfeed in. I didn't actually end up wearing them during my time at the hospital, but I did wear one to go home in. It was nice. I put my breast pads in. I wore a white t-shirt home, and obviously at that point colostrum is flowing, and well, colostrum's bright yellow, so I didn't really want to have bright yellow stains all over my t-shirt walking through the hospital, although kind of you go past caring really after you've had a baby, but it's nice to go home and feel clean. So I brought a bra with me to wear home. It was it's not necessary, I don't think. If you're wearing like a black top or something, I don't think it was really necessary. In fact, you could even, summertime, you could even wear a bikini, who cares. The next item was disposable knickers, and they're like the big mesh ones. They were great. I bought a pack of like 5 or 6, and I only ended up using maybe 3 because I re-wore them. You know, I was only in the hospital for 2 days, and they didn't really get like mega like dirty. You just change your pads. So they were great. I wore them for the first day when I got home, and then we had lots of errands to run. Here in Spain, you've got to do all your paperwork within like the first couple of weeks of your baby being like home. It's ridiculous, but nonetheless I wore big kind of granny style knickers with a pad then. But in the hospital, the mesh pants, fantastic. I would really highly recommend them, or just like really big pants, but these were great because they're high-waisted, and if you were to have a C-section, say for example, they don't cut into where your scar would be, or your incision. The next thing was breast pads. I brought quite a few breast pads with me, but you wouldn't have really needed them at the hospital. It was only to go home in, I put one pair in. I used them more so afterwards. I had some reusable bamboo ones. I also had some disposable ones that came with a pump and that my sister-in-law gave me that she never ended up using. So that was great. I brought quite a few packs of breast pads, but you really don't need them. Maybe just one pack to bring home with you. Next was the nipple cream that I bought, and it wasn't vegan, it had beeswax in, but it didn't have lanolin. I loved it. In fact, I still have loads left. One pot did me up until my nipples were like healed, and then I didn't really need nipple cream anymore, so you could even use it as like moisturizer. It's got olive oil and stuff in it. It was really, really nice. I did have quite cracked and kind of blistered nipples in the beginning, and it really helped kind of keep them, because they get really dry. Every time I would finish feeding, I would like slather some on, and then it was great because you didn't have to wipe it off before you fed, which was, you know, great, fantastic. The next on the list was sanitary towels, and I used the hospital ones. They were great because they sit really well inside my kind of mesh pants, and then when I got home, the ones I had packed for the hospital, the ones with wings and stuff, I actually used with my normal knickers, which was kind of so much more convenient because you're wearing leggings and you're out and about and stuff, although we are here, but not everyone would be when they've just had a baby. So that was a really good thing. I packed some extra ones just in case, but they supply more at the hospital, so you don't really need to bring your own sanitary towels. You can do as like an insurance thing, like you just in case they didn't have any or whatever, you know. I doubt that'll ever happen, so you don't really need to bring your own sanitary towels. I didn't end up using those ones that I packed. The next thing were toothbrushes. We used them. Great. I loved having my toothbrush. I think anyone should bring a toothbrush to the hospital. You know, I think in the UK you're only there for 24 hours, so if you were to forget it, it's not going to be the end of the world, but we bought new ones to swap out with our old ones when we got home, so that was really nice. Deodorant. I used deodorant, although I think I only used it going home. I don't think I used deodorant when I was there. Like, I literally didn't care. I would shower on a daily basis, maybe 2 times a day. The hot water was on tap. It was like constant. It was great. The showers in the hospital, it was lovely. Feel like the first shower after you give birth is just the best shower. The next item was a Peri bottle, and I'm bloody glad that I bought one because they don't actually supply them in Spanish hospitals off the top of my head. No, they don't. So I was really glad to have that because wiping underneath, I was lucky I didn't have stitches, so I could kind of like pat myself dry. Sorry for the graphics, but it was, you know, it was a lifesaver. Helps dilute the urine. Get yourself a Peri bottle if you're going to be giving birth soon, because lifesaver. The next thing was the Expert Midwife Spritz for Bits. Great, loved it. I would go to toilet, I would get rid of my sanitary towel, put a new one in, I'd spray the sanitary towel with the Spritz for Bits, and then I'd use my Peri bottle to wash my bits, and then I'd put my pants back on, and that I think just really, really helped. I mean, I didn't have stitches, so I know that when you do have stitches that can be really really sore, but these products are like 100%. You need them. They're great, absolutely fantastic. The next product is the Tux hemorrhoid pads that quite a few people recommended, that they like to like lay on top of their sanitary towel. They're wet, so when you put them on your sanitary towel and you're bleeding, it doesn't go through the pad into the pad, like through the Tux pads into the sanitary towel. It kind of just like sits on top. Oh no, I wouldn't, I mean, I didn't have hemorrhoids, so I don't know if they would have helped in that area, but they might help with hemorrhoids. I mean, that's what they're for. But I didn't have them. I didn't, luckily, thankfully, get hemorrhoids. So I tried them the way other people said, because obviously you're really tender and sore after squeezing out a baby. I laid only once as well. I laid 3 of those on a sanitary towel and put up my pants. It makes everything like really damp. I wouldn't recommend these, although they wouldn't be bad to have in the house just in case you did get hemorrhoids. Maybe that would help. I know there's cream and tablets and stuff you can get for that, so I don't think they're necessary. Next were wet wipes, water wipes. I liked them. They were good for the kind of very early newborn days when like there was meconium, because meconium's quite sticky. The first poo that your baby does, the black poo, or black green poo, whatever. And they were great to get off the stickiness. But I found as we got home and we went through like a whole box, 2 boxes actually, that they were very wet, and I don't know, although my daughter didn't get nappy rash, because one of the other mums said they were too wet and it gave her daughter nappy rash. It didn't give Kaya nappy rash, but they were wet, and so when you wiped with them, the bum and it was still wet before you put a dry nappy on, and that obviously could cause nappy rash. So I would order maybe a couple of packs or a very small box, for example, for the hospital, because they're great for like the really newborn sticky poos. But as their poo starts to become more normal, I wouldn't recommend them. We use a brand called Lily Do. In fact, we use a brand called Lily Do, and that's the pack of nappies that we use, and we absolutely love them. They're really soft. They don't have like a weird mesh inside. They absorb really well. We've only had a few explosions solely because they were like explosive poos, but we've never had like wet leaky nappies, which is fantastic. I don't know how they would work for a boy. I have a daughter, so I guess if we were to have a boy next, we would find out that way. But the wipes that they do, I really enjoy using them. They're quite thick and they're not so wet, so they do a really good job at cleaning, and they're quite thick and quite big, so they're you don't need to use a lot of them to really clean. I found the water wipes were just far too wet. They're great for the newborn days, but I wouldn't buy them kind of afterwards. So I had a couple of packs of water wipes. We used them all. We didn't use the hospital provided wipes, which are Dots, solely just for the fact that I don't believe that they're the best thing that you could use for your baby. But if you use them and don't have any problems with them, then sure, of course, it's personal preference. The next thing were clothes and a hat. Much to our surprise, my baby was small. I did have a very large bump, but it turns out I had hydramnios, or polyhydramnios, I think it is in English, and it just means I had too much amniotic fluid around the baby. I explained all that on my blog, so you can go have a look at and read through that story. But she came early and she was very small. She was 6 pounds 2 ounces, which is 2.8 kilos. So she was a small diddy baby. All the clothes were massive. Everyone was like, don't buy premature clothes or like newborn clothes, because they'll be far too small. You know, you'll only get like 1 week out of them, and then your baby will need to be in like 0 to 3 or whatever. I had to go buy more clothes, and I mean, I didn't. Thankfully, my brother and sister-in-law bought us 3 little outfits, and we kind of struggled through with the rest of our 0 to 1 and 0 to 3 stuff. I mean, it took her months to grow into them, but now she's a right chunk, so it's quite funny to see how they grow. Hats wise, the one the hospital provided, fantastic, loved it. In fact, I took her home with me. Wasn't sure if I was supposed to, but I did anyway. The hats we brought for her were massive. They looked absolutely ridiculous on her head. So get a small hat, as small as you can get it if you're planning on taking a hat. If not, the hospital provides, if you're giving birth in the local area that I am, then the hospital provides hats, and it's a really sweet hat and it fits quite well. So I would recommend not bringing a hat or buying a really small hat. I would recommend buying newborn clothes. I mean, I was told my Kaya was in the 80th percentile at one scan, which is absolutely ridiculous because she was 6 pounds 2 ounces, so whatever. Muslin cloths, I'd recommend bringing a few. You don't get a huge amount of spit up from colostrum because there's not like a lot to it, but they're good to have because you do start to leak a little bit when my milk started to come in, the colostrum and stuff, after like the first day, so there was quite a little bit coming through. I don't know, I brought a couple of muslin cloths. I would recommend bringing a couple. I don't think you need to bring loads though. We bought a big fluffy grey blanket and we definitely used that. Harry used it. The hospital was kept at like a temperature, and we had thermostats in our room, but you could only really put it down a little bit, and the baby, Kaya, my daughter, really liked it at the warmer setting, but we were stifling, so I only had sheets. the hospital sheets, and Harry had a blanket, although he didn't really sleep with it on because he was in his clothes, because you had a lot of the time like people coming in and out of your room, and well, past 10 o'clock, I think the last call's at 10 o'clock, so they come in, they check you and see how you're doing. I think they bring you water. I can't really remember, to be fair. Sorry, I'm fidgeting, my leg's a bit dead. I would recommend bringing a blanket for your partner. They only provide one pillow, so maybe even bring a pillow. You could always leave it in the boot of the car, and if you decide you need it, then you could go down and get it for sure. The nursing pillow. Now, I bought this Ergobaby nursing pillow with high hopes because I like the look of it. I haven't used it once. I don't like it. It's too hard. It doesn't come round you. It stops very... I didn't use a nursing pillow. She was so small that I could kind of lift her up and do it. I also used one of the pillows. They're really long pillows at the hospital, well, where I am anyway, really long pillows. So you can kind of sit on half of it and wrap the other half around you and kind of use that to support your arm while you're holding your baby. And I think that was the easiest thing to do, to be fair. I really don't think you need to bring a nursing pillow to the hospital. I don't know if I brought my camera to the hospital, but I didn't use it. If I did bring it, I didn't use it. I used my phone. We took loads of pictures with our phones. I think if you're going to film your labour or have someone else, your partner, film it or take pictures during labour to have those memories, then it would be nice to have an actual camera. But I don't know what the hospital's policies are on it anyway, and I don't know if I would want to see myself giving birth. I remember it very vividly in my head, so I don't think I'd want to see it because pretty graphic, and well, the thought of me screaming and swearing at my midwife doesn't interest me. I think it would be nice if you had like a home birth or like a water birth. It'd be quite nice to see, but when it came to the pushing, I was swearing a lot, and I don't think I really want to watch that back. The last thing on my list was snacks, and yes, bring snacks. 100% bring snacks, because I gave birth at 3 o'clock in the morning and I didn't get food until 9 o'clock the next morning because, well, breakfast. So I got wheeled into our room at I gave birth at 3:30, 3:28, 3:24, off the top of my head, 3:28 I think it was. And we were wheeled into our room by around 4, half 4. Well, I was starving because I hadn't eaten since lunchtime the day previous. It was very difficult to give birth with nothing in your stomach. I was only allowed juice because the baby's blood heart rate dropped a little bit, so they gave me some juice to give me some more energy or whatever to help the baby. But I wasn't allowed to eat just in case they had to wheel me in for an emergency C-section, so that wasn't fun. I think you just may have heard Harry sneezing, but whatever. But yeah, I think snacks are a really good idea. Pack non-perishables if you can. Get family to bring you meals because hospital food is absolutely dire, just awful. I think if you weren't vegan, then maybe you could probably get away with it, but it's not great. You know, breakfast is a bit of bread and some oil and salt. So Harry would go down to the canteens, but I know now with the pandemic going on, I'm not even sure if the cafes are open. I know in the States, a lot of hospitals, their cafes are closed. So definitely bring food with you if you're going to be giving birth soon. 100% bring non-perishables. And then get your family, if they come to visit, get them to bring some fruit, some vegetables, like salads or whatever, it would be great. Because even canteen food isn't great, sandwiches and whatever. So yeah, I think that's the end of it. Snacks was the last thing on my list. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit all over the place. Harry's looking after Kaya while I can film. We actually had to, I did try film this before, but we got an emergency call from his mother saying that she had 3 kittens in the garden, and we were going to go try rescue them because she's got 2 dogs. So we went, they escaped. So we've come back without, and I now have to film this video and edit before he goes to work. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a like and comment. Let me know if I missed out anything that you really needed at the hospital. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next time.